tough. I mean, I don't know how in the world these guys who invented this idea that they thought that with masks on and everything that you'd be able to fight crime, because you can't hardly see the shit.
All right.
I mean, you want to come in on it? Well,
good citizens of Gotham City and Chicago, we are here to present the next episode of This Is Not Fake News. I am here at the Batcave, and this is the boy wonder, Robin. Old chum. And we are living in
bad times,
very horrible,
scary times,
deplorable times, and
even though it's around Christmas.
Nope, Merry Christmas to the world, and hopefully 2020 will be a better year. The Cape Crusaders are here, and as you can see, there's a green train on this board here. This represents the Green New Dealville, USA, which is this freedom train of environmental green is
runs on electricity made with solar power.
Solar power.
Solar
right.
Power stored on batteries.
Well, Robin, we've made it through the impeachment hearings, and that definitely was not fake news.
No, and we have to give credit to the Democrats for getting a backbone finally.
Yes, yes. Elementary, my dear boy wonder.
It's part of our system, and it's necessary.
Yes, it is.
It's part of the Constitution.
It's part of the Constitution. It looks like the GOP, you want to call them Grand Old Party. I prefer to call them the greedy obstructionist parasites. They are going to go down in history as the treason party. They are going to go along with Trump's treason here. So what do you propose that we do about it, Robin?
Well, right now, we were at a couple of protests recently, and of course there was the big protest by Move On and Indivisible.
On Tuesday.
That was the Tuesday protest. There was a possibility that these Democrats would not follow through with the articles of impeachment that were proposed by the committee, the Judiciary Committee. But they did actually come through. There were only two, I think, votes no amongst the Democrats on the first, and only three on the second. So that was very little slippage, as you might say. And when somebody's committed this many crimes, and actually out of their own voice, we haven't heard the recording yet, but we have a pseudo transcript, summary transcript, and admits basically that he has committed what is treason, because the money was allocated by Congress and was supposed to flow to the Ukrainians to defend themselves against our old adversary Russia, and now our nouveau Russia adversary. And he was holding back those funds. Some people might have died. Ukrainian soldiers might have died because of that. So,
no, they did.
We can't be sure of an individual soldier, but we can be find it extremely probable that some did die. There were 14 killed during the time period. But this is horrible when you have a clear-cut case. I mean, you and I, we've been in courtrooms many times when we've apprehended people, or we've contributed to the police apprehending.
That is true.
The evidence is there, and it's an open and shut case. We've never seen a case like this where the jury, before the trial begins, is saying that they're going to acquit the defendant. It's insane. Have you ever seen anything like that back?
No,
I can't remember.
I have not.
I mean,
this is a scene out of the Twilight Zone. Only this is no joking matter. This is not a TV show. This is reality.
Well, picture if you will. that this is an alternate universe. Somehow we've entered a universe where the Republican Party has just lost its mind. It's gone completely crazy in cult-like status. I'm trying to do Rod Serling.
Cult-like,
Doing
yes.
it too well, but yes, it is almost as if we've entered an alternate universe.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Kind of
So
like that.
we're going to have to work harder. Work really harder. The good thing about the impeachment is that, from what I understand, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to check back with Commissioner Gordon or Chief O'Hara about this, that if once he is impeached, he cannot be pardoned. Has that been verified, Robin?
That would have to be decided by the Supreme Court,
Mm-hmm.
Batman. It's what you call nebulous in the Constitution. It doesn't specifically say, but it does appear that the clear reading of it is that at least for the crimes that he is impeached for, he shouldn't be able to pardon himself, or hopefully Pence shouldn't be able to pardon him afterwards.
Yeah, so that's what we're hoping for. We're going to be real disappointed if the greedy obstructionist parasites party decides to acquit him. This is going to set a precedent for future presidents, future governors, anybody, that if you are at a certain status, you can be above the law, which I don't sit well with that. I'm sorry. I have a problem with that, a mucho problem. You know, you and me, we're old guys. We've been around since, 50s and 60s. And
by eating well, we've got
yes,
pretty much
majority
vegan.
vegetarian.
We've gone on that because it's a terrible thing for the planet. This was something we mentioned before, other discussions we've had about
Yes.
meat is not good for the planet.
Eating cows and pigs causes climate change. It's not good for our planet, and we are on the brink of a very. 2020 is a few days away. It cannot come any sooner. You know, this is the first time in my life where I actually wish to fast forward into the future, and add more days and months on my life. So
We just want to see the country back on a firm footing of obeying the Constitution, obeying the laws, because if you don't have a rule of law, what do you have? You have criminals running rampant. I mean, we've seen
you have
enough
kind
of it.
of like fascism. No,
Yeah.
maybe not kind of like, but you'd have fascism because just the authoritarian rule to just do whatever and dictate whatever you want is un-American and unconstitutional. And they said the same thing in Germany. It could never happen here. Well, it did happen in Germany. And what I fear in the near future is that we're going to have another civil war, only it won't be like Missouri versus Indiana. It won't be like that. It'll just be gun nuts, weirdos, fanatics, white nationalists versus all the normal progressive people.
It's a scary time, especially when you have a leader, a so-called leader, that should be uniting the country, but he's doing everything he can to tear it apart. And
that he is.
We have a bunch of insane people that they want to run around with guns. I mean, it's just gotten worse since the Reagan era.
Yeah, and the list of crimes done by this president and this administration and this party are just, beyond just those two indictments of impeachment. What was it? Obstruction of Congress
and abuse of power.
Right.
Which does actually include bribery in it. I mean,
right.
They mention bribery.
But
the specific
you go down the list. Well, finish, Robin.
But the specific statute, there could be some quarrel about whether because the ridiculous excuse that it actually didn't take place. But if you are going in to rob a bank and you attempt to rob it, the mere fact that you were, stopped by the police and you couldn't actually get the money doesn't absolve you of the crime of robbery or attempted robbery. So bribery is present. I mean, in any common law or common sense situation.
Yeah. So if you go way back, rewind a bit. We need to keep families together, not break them apart. ICE that's a crime. What ICE is doing to children, separating them from their parents, kidnapping them. The threat of the Trump administration possibly starting World War III with an attack on Iran is another issue. How much money they want to take to destroy the environment is another one. Again, it said the child abuse at the border, he's a racist, calling Haiti a shithole country. If that's not racism, I don't know what
There are
racism is.
so many things that he's done that are just plain rotten.
And his sexism, grab her by the, yeah.
But the two things that are clearly impeachable, by
treason?
almost every scholar that's worth their salt, 200 scholars, legal scholars, saying that these are clearly impeachable crimes. So I think he is in a box right now. It's very scary because he might do some of those things we've been discussing, because he is so clearly guilty, and the jury is going to let him off, which is crazy. It's something we've never seen before, except in very corrupt areas of the country, like back in the days when Alabama or Mississippi would let a white racist go who murdered an African American, that kind of thing. When the evidence was clear, and we don't want to go back to those times. I mean,
Well, that sounds like fascism to me.
it's very much a kind of a fascist thing.
Yes.
And this thing with Trump is very fascist looking.
And then you have the issue of Trump and Pence being in cahoots with the NRA, and just allowing more and more of these rapid fire shootings. I like to call them rapid fire. I get into these arguments with gun nuts saying, "Oh, that's not semi-automatic. I mean, that's not a machine gun. That's semi-automatic." Oh, really? It shoots bullet after bullet after bullet. Come on, it's a rapid fire
I
weapon.
think you can kill like 40 people in a minute with those so-called...
It's a rapid fire weapon. That's what I call them, and they kill a lot of people as fast as possible. And well, that's where we are on that. And of course, Trump is a thief because he took our middle class money and gave it to the billionaires. He's a liar. His lying account, according to the New York...
About 14,000 now, right?
According to the New York Times, yes, it was. That was the reported number. It's climbing too. And gazoots, Robin, with fascists threatening this country, we can't just stay in the Batcave.
Right. We've been out to many protests lately. We're celebrities, so we wanted to lend our prestige to the protest movement, the resistance. There are many good resistance groups out there. Refuse Fascism is one of them. I mean, they've been out trying
every
to
Saturday.
organize almost every Saturday.
Just about every Saturday, yeah.
And they have a plan that's like the South Korean plan, where they removed their president after, but it took several months.
Elementary, my boy wonder. Puerto Rico, Viva Puerto Rico, or the Commonwealth.
It took place in about 12 days or something.
It was 16 days.
16
They
days.
ousted their governor. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that?
Right, or have the stamina of the people in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I mean, they're protesting the reduction of their civil liberties and the possibility that people could be deported to the mainland. And they're trying to nip that in the bud. And why didn't we nip in the bud the fascist takeover in this country? It's not too late. If everyone gets out in the street, it's not too late. It's possible that the big protests will not take place until the acquittal comes. We hope that it doesn't come, but we know, we can see the writing on the wall that he's going to be acquitted, and people will really have to resist then.
Robin, do you think if he is acquitted and he sails through all the way to November of 2020 that this would help him or hurt him in the next election?
I believe, and I have to believe, Batman, that when somebody is stained with being indicted, which is what an impeachment is, indicted for high crimes, that person is stained, and people will have a feeling of shame to vote for that person. They will not do it, at least in sufficient numbers as last time, and so he will not be able to be reelected. We have to hope that.
But
if it
don't
comes
you
to that.
think that the large percentage of Trumpsters who don't care if he breaks the law, they're like a cult?
The good people have to overwhelm the bad people at the voting booth if it comes to that.
Mm.
The good people cannot stay home, and they can't allow their friends to stay home.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had the debate on Thursday, and I thought all of them were pretty good. I don't think there was one winner. My favorite is Liz Warren, and my second pick would be Bernie Sanders. It would be great if they were a team, you know.